Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch. Activision Blizzard built some of the most successful games ever made, and behind every single one of them, a company that for years operated like the rules didn't apply to them. This is the story they tried to keep quiet. On July 20th, 2021, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, the result of a 2-year investigation. The charges: systematic harassment, discrimination, and a toxic workplace culture targeting female employees. The details were disturbing. Male employees allegedly crawled through cubicles drunk, what the lawsuit called cube crawls, harassing female co-workers. Women were passed over for promotions because managers feared they might become pregnant. Female employees were paid less for the same work. And HR? They knew. They shredded documents when investigators came looking. Activision's official response the same day: they called the lawsuit irresponsible and the allegations distorted and false. They called the government investigators unaccountable state bureaucrats. Within 24 hours, thousands of their own employees signed an open letter calling that response abhorrent and insulting. 1 week after the lawsuit, employees walked out. Over 100 people. Standing outside Blizzard headquarters with one demand: fire CEO Bobby Kotick. Kotick responded with an internal letter admitting the company's response had been tone deaf. He promised swift action. Employees read the letter carefully, then organized a second walkout because the letter didn't address a single one of their demands. Over 1,000 employees and contractors signed a public petition calling for his removal. Meanwhile, the SEC launched its own investigation. Federal investigators subpoenaed Kotick personally. Because while all of this was happening publicly, Activision had been quietly forcing departing employees to sign agreements that required them to notify the company if the SEC ever contacted them. They were legally silencing potential witnesses. Here's what accountability looked like for Activision Blizzard. The EEOC settlement: $18 million. The Communication Workers of America called it a slap in the face. For a company worth $72 billion at the time, the SEC fined for silencing whistleblowers $35 million. In total, Activision Blizzard paid less than $55 million to settle years of documented harassment and federal violations. That's less than Bobby Kotick earned in a single year. The same Bobby Kotick who employees demanded be fired kept his job through all of it. In January 2022, 6 months after the lawsuit became public, Microsoft announced it was acquiring Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion. The largest acquisition in gaming history. The deal closed in October 2023. Bobby Kotick stayed on as CEO until December 2023. He left with a severance package. The exact amount was never disclosed. The employees who walked out, who signed petitions, who testified, most of them are gone. Laid off in waves of cuts that followed the Microsoft acquisition. Activision Blizzard settled the original California lawsuit in December 2023. The financial terms were not made public. World of Warcraft peaked at 12 million subscribers. Call of Duty has sold over 400 million copies. Overwatch had 50 million players in its first year. These are generational games, games that defined childhoods, and the company that made them paid fines that amounted to less than 0.1% of their sale price, and walked away. Bobby Kotick walked away. Microsoft absorbed the studios, the franchises, the IP, and the people who spoke up. Most of them lost their jobs anyway. Activision Blizzard no longer exists as an independent company. The name is gone, absorbed into Microsoft Gaming. But the games are still there, still selling, still generating billions. The question nobody asks anymore is, at what cost were they made?